Hey Madisonians, my name is Steven. I'm a local, I live on the east side of town. I work with MadisonHomePerformance.com. We do energy audits here in Madison and Dane County. I'm walking around the neighborhood and like every other house, my house has got these ugly single pane basement hopper windows that are super old. My house is from 1957 and I wanted to replace these because I'm redoing my basement, finishing the basement to add more square footage to my house, and wanted to let more light through, wanted them to be prettier, to be more efficient, wanted them to be able to open and close a little bit. So I go down to the big box store, Menards, and I got some windows for 55 bucks a piece. They're double pane sliders. Replaced 7 of them for 350 bucks plus like maybe 50 bucks in spray foam and shims and stuff like this, caulks. So I didn't see a lot of resources out there about this, so this video is a local me doing the work. I hope that this gives you confidence to either do it yourself or helps you know what the process is, so that if you hire someone, it gives you an idea of, okay, this is how much I would pay for this, or this is what they're going to be doing to kind of, just keep you in the know. Anyway, folks, hope you think of us next time you need a full house energy audit.
So what I'm doing here in this first clip is I'm removing all of the spray foam that I used to seal up the window. I was getting a lot of leakage into and out of the house. So I got to remove all the spray foam with this little multi-tool that I got for about 10 bucks. And then I'm going to bring in a little crowbar here, or a pry bar. It's called like a cat's paw. And I'm going to pry out the side of the window. Note, the first one that I did, I actually broke the glass and just put a piece of foam in there while I figured out how to get the frame out. I would not recommend breaking the glass. It's not safety glass, so it gets in shards and stuff and goes all over the place, and it's just a pain to clean up. I would recommend prying out the frame gently and then removing the whole window sash in one piece. And I will show you how to do that here in this video. Moving on, you've got all the spray foam out of the cracks, and you've pried out the edge of the window while you're pulling on that middle metal bar. So the window's loose. Now basically you need to push the window up these sliders, and then there's this little circular hole where they can come loose from these side little brackets. So you got to push the window up and then push this little metal bar out away from the center of the window, and then it will pop off. Pro tip, once the window is out, push it outside and put it on the grass right in front of the opening there, because when you start to chip out some of the concrete, that was the Amazon guy that just went by there in the photo. When you start to chip out the concrete with like a hammer and chisel, you're going to have all these little shards of concrete and stuff, and a lot of that will just fall right onto your little makeshift glass placemat that's sitting right there on the ground, and then you just take that whole thing and go put it into the trash. So once the window sash is out, which is like the glass with like the metal frame, you've got to get out the metal frame that's embedded in the concrete. Now, a lot of people said, hey, just leave the frame in there and blah, 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 and, custom order a smaller window and just slap it in and they'll be real easy. Guys, there's something about me, maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse. I just want to do stuff right, for myself, for my family, for the future family that lives in this house, whatever. I just want to do it right. So this is a grinder. It's got a grinder wheel on it. It's a Ryobi tool. It cost me about $100. If you don't have one, I use this tool all the time. I've got eye protection on, ear protection, and a mask on, because this stuff creates little shards of metal. It can go in your eyes. It'll burn through your clothing. So I'd wear stuff that you're not going to wear out to your next date on. So basically what I'm doing is I'm grinding through the frame in 2 spots, one up top there, and then I'm going to do another one right down below on the bottom part, and then I'm going to pry it. And once you get the line that you're going to grind through started, the frame will actually bend here, and once it starts to bend, then you can grind it more and more, and then you can kind of work the frame out with your hands. But that frame is embedded in concrete on the bottom and on the side. It's not embedded up on the top, so you got to cut it in 2 places and then pry it out with your hands. Sometimes you have to use a hammer and chisel to kind of work the mortar out on the sides to loosen it up to pull it out. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm just going to continue to grind at that metal buck, B-U-C-K, that's embedded just on the bottom side and on the left and right in the concrete. So I grind on it, and then I pry a little bit, and then I grind, and then I pry. This is probably the hardest part of the whole process of replacing the window, because you've really got to dislodge the concrete from the opening. So here's a close-up. You can see that notch that I started there, and there's another one down there. And then once I get my little cat's paw in there and I pry it, you can see the bottom of the frame start to move. So this one's actually going to come out pretty easily. Knowing what I know today and what I'm trying to teach you, I could probably do all 7 windows in my basement. I say 7 because one of them got covered with the back patio steps going outside. I could probably do all 7 windows in a day, but that would be a long day, but it's definitely possible. Just want to say one more thing about working with grinders and stuff. You know, just let me sound old for a second. Those shards, you don't want to breathe that stuff in because it's like little tiny pieces of metal, and you don't want that going into your lungs. And then, like I said, that those metal shards, when they come off, that was a piece of concrete that just fell off from the side that I'll have to pick up. But those little shards that come off will burn through like little pinholes in your clothes or in the XPS pink foam insulation that I have here. So now I'm just prying this thing out on each side and work it back and forth, and it will actually just snap off. And I'll do the same thing there on the other side. And here's a close-up, and you can see down below there where the concrete has built up that I'm going to have to chip that out with the hammer and chisel. Just go slow and work it back and forth, and eventually it'll just kind of fall right out. But don't try to crank on it, because then you'll like slip, or you'll hit your face or something, or you'll end up falling off your little step ladder. Appreciate you guys bearing with me here. Some of the video I put at like 400%, some at 200%, some at 100%. I'm just trying to make this an instructional video so that whether or not you do the work, you know what it is and what it entails, and to replace these basement windows. You know, I was looking at going with some, you know, custom windows, like some picture frame windows that don't have any, that don't open and close, because let's face it, I like never open these basement windows, and I want it to be as airtight and insulated as possible. But when I tried to spec those out, here comes the frame there. Yep. When I tried to spec out those windows, it was like they were like 150 to like $300 each. So I was like, this is way cheaper. I got them for like $55 each after rebate at Menards. So there's that old concrete there, and I'll be chipping out that little line with the hammer and chisel, and I'll have to chip it out on the sides. I've got a 32 by 14 window. There's a little piece of wood right there on the top. You can see the back of it there. It's brown. The front of it there is white. It's got the spray foam on it. I'm going to put the window right to the inside of that little piece. So that's going to be like my outside stop. And there's the old frame. Now here we're going with the hammer and chisel. Rocking away. Those pieces are flying up there. It's kind of a cool little visual there. And again, this concrete dust, I didn't always do this in all the other ones, and I kind of felt the effects afterwards a little bit. But that concrete dust, you do not want to be breathing that stuff into your lungs. So get a mask that you wear, and the mask kind of makes it a little bit funny because then your glasses don't sit right on your face. But protect your eyes and your ears and your lungs. So safety, safety, safety. Luckily, I didn't hit my fingers at all with the big sledgehammer that I borrowed from my neighbor, and that's just a normal chisel. You could probably use an old wood chisel too, but that might damage it a little bit. This one's kind of blunt. And the line that you're going to get when you're done, it's not going to be like a perfect, totally smooth, you know, line that you're going to be able to, you know, put the window right into. You're going to have to fill in the gaps. It's going to be rocky and jagged, so you'll fill in the gaps with like some like outside caulking or a silicone or a window spray foam. Okay, so as we're rocking along here toward the end of the video, I'm just cleaning up some more of the spray foam with my multi-tool I got for about $7 or $8 at Menards. And just getting that nice and clean. I bring out my tape measure, and my window is 32 across. So wherever it's less than 32, rather than putting the window up in the opening and then bring it down and up and down, I did that like 6 or 7 times with my other windows. I'm like, geez, why don't I just use a tape measure and measure it, and where it's less than 32, I can just notch it out a little bit more. And again, when you're doing this notching, sometimes like a huge piece of concrete will break off, and other times you'll just get a little piece. So start small and then work up bigger if you have to, but I'm just going to fill in those gaps with like a Volceme product or 100% silicone thing, or maybe some sort of window spray foam. Keep in mind, folks, that spray foam, when exposed to the sun, like turns to dust and like loses its effectiveness. So you don't want to have that. You want to have something that's going to be covering the spray foam that goes in the gap between the window and the foundation. And here I'm just going to vacuum up. Actually, strangely satisfying, vacuuming up all the little dust and stuff and making it nice and clean. Really, really fun and feels really good. Here I'm just dry fitting the window. Opens and closes real nice. Some close-up shots of the window. You can see the 2 holes on the left. That's where the Tapcon screws go, and the 2 holes on the right. Tapcon screws go right there also. Tapcon is a brand. It's a blue screw you can get at the big box store. There's a picture of him down there. That's a hammer drill on the left. You'll need a hammer drill to drill into concrete. Borrow one from a neighbor or go and rent one. That's an old one. It works just fine. Takes a little while. And there's the Tapcons. That's the 3/16 by 2 3/4 inch long. The window will have an install sheet on it for how long Tapcons you need and how wide they're supposed to be. Go with whatever the manufacturer says. They made the product. They're telling you how to properly install it. I'm putting some of those white pieces of wood, those little lighter color ones. Those are called shims. I'm putting those up top, making sure that the window is level left to right or close enough. And then plumb, which is like level up and down. And then I put the shims in to kind of hold it in place in general. And then I'm going to drill 2 holes through the top part of the sash into the that wooden, it's called the rim joist there, to hold the window in place. And then I'll put some more shims in the bottom. And then I'll drill 2 holes in on the left and 2 holes in on the right to embed the window into the concrete. But these shims are really just to hold the window in place while I do the more secure method of holding the window in place with those Tapcons right into the concrete. So these are like, just think of it as like a temporary support. I ended up leaving in those top screws because it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so here I pre-drilled the hole, and then I got a little 2-inch screw, boom. And I'm not cranking on this thing because I don't want to pull the whole window up because the window's already level. So I'm just snugging up there so it's, so it's secure, but I'm not going gangbusters. And I'll do the one on the other side too. And then once the window is secure in there, you got the Tapcons in, then you'll just go around the outside with some spray foam. And then congratulations, folks, you have done it. So if you stayed with me for this long, thanks for tuning in. And just a reminder, I do home performance testing, so blower doors, manometers, mold issues, bath fans, all this stuff here in the Madison area at madisonhomeperformance.com. If I can be of service, please check out the website. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in.